is Munyai Tabelo Ricardo. I'm doing environmental management honors level at University of Venda. We'll be presenting in a core topic called biodiversity. Biodiversity fall under the category number 5 after category number 4, which is drifting continents. So category number 5 is life. When we add life in the spheres, in hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere, the oxygen and carbon cycle fall under the part of biodiversity. The overview of the presentation, it goes like this. I'm going to talk about what is biodiversity. After biodiversity, after what is biodiversity, we're going to talk about the importance and the threats, and then conservation strategy. To define biodiversity is the variability among living organisms from all sources, including inter alia, which is among other things, and terrestrial, marine, and the other aquatic ecosystem, and the ecological complexities on which they are part. This includes diversity within the species itself, and then between the species, different types of species and of ecosystem. In a human perspective, biodiversity regarded as using lots of plants and animals together. As you can see, plants, trees, kitchen crops, intercropping food and cash crops, animal, and then insects and birds, all are used together as a biodiversity. There are three distinct levels of biodiversity, namely number one is genetic diversity, diversity of gene within a species and the processes such as mutation, gene exchange, genome dynamic that occur at the DNA level and generate evolution. These are the types of, these are the kind where they make up the gene, but the gene represents itself in a phenotype, physical appearance, where you can see these five types of a bear. Some is a polar bear got a white fair feather, and then the others got the black eyes and the white fur. They've got the mouse, which are different. So all the types of a bear, but they are genetically different. That's the first kind of diversity that we have. Second type is a species diversity, diversity among species presenting in a different ecosystem. This is the diversity of population of organism and the species and the way they interact with the birds, the frogs, the butterfly, tortoise, flower, the relationship between them. That's what we call ecosystem. That's what we call species diversity. And then we have got ecosystem diversity, genetic, species, ecosystem diversity of a given area. This is a diversity of species interaction in the intermediate environment. This relationship involved the species and the environment that they live in. So they intermingle. The desert species interact with the desert species. Like when it is hot, they borrow the sand and then hide under the sand. So they are living according to the environment. So that's what we call a species ecosystem diversity. We have got desert, we have got savanna, we have got forest, grassland, and then the aquatic environment all fall under the ecosystem diversity. Why biodiversity is important? Biodiversity boosts ecosystem productivity, where each species, no matter how small has an important role to play. As you can see, the lizard, it is regarded as a useless thing by human by a normal thinking of a human being, but it is really important because it eats flies, it eats mosquitoes, so it acts as a pest control. As you can see, we've got the pyramid with a trophic level 1, trophic level 2, trophic level number 3, and trophic level number 4. The first trophic level is a green plants, the producers, the plants that really photosynthesize their foods, and then the primary consumers are herbivores that eat on the plants, and then secondary consumers, which are carnivores that eat on the herbivores, and then we have the top tertiary consumers, which are parasites and the saprophytes and the microbes, which feed on all other trophic levels. So they eat, they are top at the trophic level. And then we've got the food web. where everything originated from the sun. Sun is the source of energy. Everything existed because the sun really provide the source, or the sun provide a source, the light to the plants, so they made food in the process called photosynthesis. And then photosynthesis, after that the herbivores go and eat the plants, and then after eating the plants, and then the carnivores go and eat the plants. So the energy flows from the sun to the plants, the herbivores, the consumer, to the consumers, and end up in mushroom, which are microbes, and then being recycled. The food web is really important because it shows how biodiversity it is. We've got birds, lizard, the rodents, and then the earthworm, the flies. Everything fall under the biodiversity web. And then we've got the benefit of healthy biodiversity, where it cleans our air, our environment, so it gives the inspiration, like Isaac Newton sat under the apple tree, and then it fell, and then the law of gravity really, the law of gravity was established because of biodiversity. And then it maintain our soil, then it stores water. Then the wetlands really stores water, moderate pollution, and then decrease the floods, and then the storm, the damage. Really, the plant really protect from the natural causes. And then it give us the natural medicine, where we go there to the plants and then extract the roots, the leaves, and then the stems. So we go and process them to make our modern day pills, the drug that we use, like the aspirin, come from the willow tree. And then we've got the biological diversity as defined as an ecosystem service, such a protection of water resources. The plants that are inside the water, it protect the soil in order not to get eroded. And then the soil formation, the trees that are growing on the mountain really break down the rock in process of weathering to make the soil, and then they hold up the soil for the so that the soil won't be washed away by the soil erosion. And then we've got the nutrient storage and recycling. As for example, the carbon is stored as a glucose in water, in plants. So, and then we eat carbon as a glucose, and then we exhale exhale carbon dioxide outside, and then it go back to atmosphere, and then it circulate through the biodiversity, the pollution breakdown, and then absorption. Plants try to absorb the greenhouse gases in order to reduce the toxicants of them, and then contribute to climate stability. When the plants and wetlands act as a carbon sinks, they reduce the variety of climate, the climate change, maintain of the ecosystem. A healthy ecosystem is balanced by the plants and the animal found on that area. So biodiversity act as a maintenance of ecosystem, recovery from unpredictable events. If there was a flood, and then flood really wiped away, the grass will start growing faster to recover the damage that was damaged. And then we've got a biological resource. We all need food. Everything that is locomotive, it needs food in order to survive. So we get food from the biodiversity, medicinal resource, and pharmaceutical drugs. The medicine that we use are from the pills, and then the liquid medicine are from the plants that we can use. And then the wood products, that's where we made our furniture, building materials, come from the wood. It come from the plants, which is part of biodiversity. Ornamental plants, we have flowers, the bloom pot inside our house. We decorate it with the plants. Some plants are planted inside the house in order to beautify and to give oxygen on that. Breeding stock and population reserve, we tend to capture the animal, like what we do in lions. We put them in a cage, and then they start to produce, and then we take the young ones to the wild. So that's what we call a breeding stock. And then population reservoir, we take things from the environment, and then we put them in one side, and then they produce in order to multiply them. The future resource, we have to protect our biodiversity in order to get future resource. Diversity in genes, species, and ecosystem. As you can see, the pictures on the top right. So all things these are beetles, but they're different according to what they eat, due to the genes that they have inside. And then we've got the social benefit, which we do our research, education, and monitoring. The lady on the picture, they're doing research. This lady on the right, she's writing the findings from the observation from the lady on the left. And then we have got a recreation and tourism, where we go for bird watching, where we go for fishing, and then cultural values. Some of the African tradition, they went there to worship in the sacred forest, and then in the sacred mountain. And then we've got the threat to biodiversity, which is the habitat loss, overharvesting, non-native species, global environmental change, and pollution. So habitat loss is the biggest threat to the world biodiversity. As you can see on the top left, the habitat has been converted into agriculture, where animals used to live there, but now they cannot live there because they sprayed the pesticides in order to kill all the insects that were available on that. And then on the on the bottom right, people are harvesting trees for the building material in the industrial processes. So they're taking away the habitat for the other animals. And then overuse and overharvesting of a species has led to a drastic decline in once abundant fish population. Method of producing goods more efficiently and effectively. As we grow, as the business and the economy grows, we tend to harvest more from the environment. People, they were at first they were using a fishing bay in order to take fish, but now they're using a net with a small hole so that they can harvest more. And then we have got non-native species in Africa. Egypt for African, the Africa, the introduction of Nile perch into the Lake Victoria results in two-thirds of the lake native cichlid fish species, about 200, going extinct, because those Nile perch tend to feed more faster on cichlid, because the cichlid tend to have a slow speed, but the Nile perch have got a more speed, so they catch more, they lead to the extinct. And then we have got a lantana camara species, tree species nearly wiped the native grasses at Mutare river bank at Vembe district. So this native species really destroying our biodiversity, our balance. Then we've got a global environmental change, large scale of environmental change such as climate change, ozone depletion, tropical deforestation, and the acid rain can also threaten our biodiversity, because the temperature were nice at that time, but now the temperature are increasing, so some species cannot tolerate the temperature. Even the ultraviolet rays are no longer really protected by the ozone because it's depleted. And then the forest where that once was a big tropical rainforest that was once really a reservoir of animal biodiversity hotspot, but now they have been destroyed for agricultural purposes. And then we've got the pollution within the habitats can severely affect the biodiversity. Certain other chemical pollutants such as suspected and disrupting the endocrine system of amphibians. Amphibians mean the frogs that live both. They are no longer living there because the environment is no longer clean for them. So pollution from water pollution, land pollution, and air pollution have got a severe effect on the environment. And then we've got conservation strategy, enabling legal policy and regulation intervention. So there must be a law. Like for example, in fishing, there's supposed to be a bag limit. Let's say caught 50 fish per day, or caught certain fish or which are 1 year older in this area. Then enhancing protection measures, so protect the animals, doing like C2, and then in situ conservation, where the species are protected in their respective environment, and then protected, taken away from the environment to go to a safer place, like the rhino intervention. And then in conclusion, we've got biodiversity is a variety of life among the living. So all things are formed a part of biodiversity. Alone it can't, but many they form part by. And then it make life possible and planet habitable. It aid in nutrient cycling, and then human behavior pose the alarming rate. And each individual have the role to play in conservation strategy. Anyway, thanks. Let's protect our biodiversity. If you are planning for a year, plant a rice. If you are planning for 10 years, plant a tree. But if you are planning 100 years, educate humankind. Thank you.